to the Social Recruiting Show. Yes, I have an alarm on my phone to remind me to start the show and give my dog a heart med. Anyway, moving on. I'm Katrina Collier. I'm, of course, author of The Robot Proof Recruiter, which these two are actually in, and a candidate engagement facilitator and speaker. I'm, of course, joined by my talented talent acquisition professional co-host, the one, the only Glenn Martin, who is currently echoing me back at myself, which is not the slightest intimidating. Oops. And of course, today you might notice that we have the one, the only, the amazing Amy Miller back again, because, well, there's a part 2 that just needed to be shared. So welcome back, the talented talent acquisition professional that you are.
Thank you for having me. This is like a big deal. I'm putting this on my resume. I was on, this was a quantifiable achievement. I
think this is 3 times, isn't it? Or is it only twice? Twice. Yeah. Within 2 weeks.
I mean, it's crazy. Like that's got to go right up top in the list.
Completely. I mean, no other work, no other amazing company that you work at really matters except being on the Social Recruiting Show.
You're like a co-host. You know?
I love that. I'm like so I guess if Glenn's Ed McMahon, I'm the guitar player or something. I don't know. Oh, that's probably. I realize that's probably lost on a UK audience.
It's lost on me anyway. Yeah. To be fair, I have a head cold. Everything is lost on me today, all week. To be fair, so the week before last, we had you on because there was a certain company that felt that recruitment was very easy and that we could just outsource it to a robot, basically. But do you want to give us a quick recap on what got you irritated and why you're still irritated?
Okay.
It's not going to be a quick recap.
I'll try. How much time do we have? So what started it for me is there was an article written on this company page, their company blog, about turning recruitment into a second income. And so the premise was that this is so easy that you can just do it on the side. All you need to do is get a client to pay your fee of 20%. So just go get a client and have them agree to your fee. That's it. There's no further instruction there. Just go get a client and have them pay 20%. Yeah. So once you do that, and by the way, business terms easily found on the web, in case you're not sure how to set that up, here comes the sell. All right. You can do this new recruitment gig of yours with this service. AI,
which we're keeping nameless because we're trying to be nice until they come on and argue their corner.
Absolutely. Happy to have that conversation. You will just leverage this tool and all the candidates will be there and you can just pick one up off the shelf and put it in your shopping cart and away you go and pay the candidate a percentage as well. So sign-on bonus. I give sign-on bonuses all the time. You know, sometimes you got to do that. It takes a little cash to grease the wheels. But this is fascinating to me on a few levels because A, you can just go get a client because it's so super easy. And B, the right candidate at the right time is going to be sitting in this database waiting for you to tell them, hey, you're going to go work at this new job.
Okay. So I like the idea of the bonus back to the candidate. I think that's a really cool thing. But I guess my question is how
long do they have to stay in the job to deserve their bonus?
I don't know.
It could be a serial job swapper after a while.
I mean, you can rack up a pretty good amount of cash by
changing
one
jobs
job
every
after
4
the
months.
next and keep.
But I think we're maybe being a bit cynical there, aren't we? In so much as we're thinking, we're thinking that everybody's just going to suddenly think cash. I can generate loads of cash from that. I mean, I think the principle of giving some money back to an individual that's put time and effort into the interview process to secure the job. I think that's a cool thing. There will be a small minority of people that will see that and try and game it, but let's hope a large proportion of people will do it right.
So that's a great segue, Glenn. I'm curious. So if the money is not the motivator, it's a nice to have. It's like, hey, we can, tack this on. It's a nice little thing. If that's not the motivator for you to upload your information, agree to be matched up, agree to take the new job, what is the motivation?
Branded the card.
Isn't there a step before that, as in how does the candidate discover this platform?
I'm not
sure.
I think that Peter Pan sprinkles pixie dust over him and just magically transports them. to the database.
Because I was kind of like, well, I mean, brand proposition, okay, fine, but how to, I mean, job seekers, or well, and I have no stats around this, right? But job seekers typically, well, they typically migrate to the things that the brands that they know, like the Indeeds and LinkedIn and stuff like that, right? So maybe a small minority of, there you go, there's a light. Small minority that then really try and search for new platforms and maybe more role specific platforms. But I can't imagine a mass majority of people just landing on this platform. So therefore, how do you build critical mass?
I think it's probably the same way you go get clients to pay 20%. Like you just go.
Yeah, there was that side of it, right?
Just go do it.
But wasn't the second part, the part two, how they're acquiring some of their clients, because the candidates, because I was looking at that going, so basically you're selling this branded credit card thing that I still don't get my head around, that's clearly not working.
Yeah.
And actually you're just going to a job board. So again, you're going for low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
I'm still not seeing the value. Other than, to be fair, I'm still back at just going to get a client to pay 20%. But
that's a tough one. So here's the thing, though, and I have zero issues with low hanging fruit or setting up a site or a prepaid card, whatever it is. I don't care. I understand that there is enough business out there and enough opportunity for any of us, even the worst of us, to make a decent living at this. I get that. Yeah. But you can't apply that to everything in the industry. You can't say that agencies are overcharging by, I had few clients that paid 20% when I was an agency. We were typically like 33 1/3, like legit 1/3. So that already is kind of like, that's kind of the lower end, I think, for our industry. And then to say even that's too much and you should just pay this job board, which is really what it is, 7%, and you're going to get the same service. Like you're actually not getting service. You're not. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me. So there was a part two. These folks were on a different show, and I don't know why they didn't come here first, but whatever. And so they kind of went through some, relatively challenging questions. And what we learned is they're actually purchasing staffing agencies as well.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
Here's my question. Is this a service play or is this a data play? Are you purchasing staffing agencies because you're planning on keeping those recruiters and biz dev folks employed and actually, doing the hard functional work of recruiting? Maybe this is a crazy idea, but I'm just throwing it out there. Or are you buying databases?
Yeah.
And if so, what does it look like getting permission from it? Because if I've applied to, Robert Half a year ago and I'm, no longer on the market or I've moved away or whatever, and you come in and buy the agency that had my info in their database, I don't know. I mean, I don't live under GDPR, but I got to think there might be some.
Yeah, that wouldn't be right, would it? We've got some questions. Sorry.
No, go for it, Katrina.
First and foremost, I've not done this before, so I'm going to attempt to show a comment first and foremost. Okay. It does. Marvin thinks this is a social recruiting comedy show.
We should have a spin-off. We should have a spin-off.
To be fair, no. Hold on to your shirt, because we've got Bianca here asking, what does it say on Amy's t-shirt? This is the coolest. Yeah. I do this with the LinkedIn thing. I regret your influence and substitute my own. And most importantly, Debbie is here.
Hey,
Debbie.
This live thing is good, except for when I'm not available. But anyway.
So that's my question. I just, and again, I have zero issues with the transactional, reactive type of recruiting, because I understand there's going to be those kinds of clients that need to be serviced, those kind of candidates that want jobs, and it's just a simple transaction, come in, match up, and go. That doesn't work for 90% of the industry.
Yeah.
At least, right? I mean, that's a very small number.
And I think where you're getting so frustrated is you look at the US and it's huge employment, right? So very small unemployment. So it's actually quite a lot, and particularly because of your healthcare system, to get somebody to move from here to here. And what this company seems to be doing is taking away the consultative side. Whether you were agency side or in-house, there is still a job to get people to move. That's the real thing riling you up, right?
Absolutely. That's number one. That's what riles me up. You still need to have, It's not even about passive candidates. We still need somebody to look at every applicant and make sure that they're being responded to and closed out appropriately. And, I mean, and I know people always say, oh, you work in big tech and you recruit, managers and like, I don't know, like, I have no idea what I'm talking about, or I don't understand what it's like to recruit junior accountants or whatever. Here's what I know. I've recruited just about every damn thing up and down the food chain, from CFOs to truck drivers. And every single person I've ever made an offer to, there was an emotional element behind it.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Did you say truck drivers just so we could get urinal into this show as well? Or
okay. Truck stops.
Can I just say, Michael Heller is going off on one, by the way, and you just mentioned big tech. So he's saying he saw a Disrupt HR presentation this week that says AI in recruitment introduces bias. So that was quite interesting. So easy, even a caveman can do it. He's just repeated you back. As well. Oh God, no, he's really going off here. Now that they're going off, I can't keep up with this.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like Simon Hawkyard's comment. Thank you, man. Much appreciated.
So for those that don't know what we're talking about, Simon has commented about Glenn's beard. It's stone cold awesome.
It was great. Awesome.
Michael Cox loves your shirt. Hi, Michael. Thank you for buying so many copies of my book. Love you. Michael Heller, Amy, honestly, I admire people who attempt to shake up a methodology. Maybe the person who is doing it is trying to do something better because of a bad experience with one recruiter.
Oh, well, you know what? I had a few bad boyfriends and I still got married and I'm nice to my husband.
Sometimes.
One thing, do you think, back to that point about riling you up, Amy, I think back to that point around kind of riling you up, and I think it's a collective thing for all three of us, in so much as some infants really make a point of their sales pitch, the boot into the existing industry. So it's very easy to diss agencies, it's very easy to dismiss them and say how poor quality they are and stuff like that. And actually, if the reverse was the approach, in terms of we're trying to progress the industry and actually offer something that is more engaging, you might not get negative reaction from people if you're just kind of, because we're all agency recruiters, all come from agency recruitment background, right?
Absolutely.
We learned craft and we've progressed, and we're advocates for the industry. And I guess that's one thing that really annoys me when you see a sales pitch and like, agencies are crap, they're this, they're that, and this will change it and completely so you won't have to deal with them again.
Like we're the polio virus. We're going to eradicate bad recruiters. We're going to get rid of this entire industry. And this is my issue. And Michael, I love you, but here's my issue with people that are coming in and trying to disrupt, or they're bringing this fancy. That's great. That's great. I want you to go and build really cool stuff. And I love that. But don't do it if your sales pitch is that the rest of us suck. If you have to tear down another business to raise up your own, maybe you need to think about your service offering, because maybe it's not that good.
But also going into because I listened to that particular podcast, it's very hard not to say who we're talking about, isn't it?
I know, but we're trying to be fair with an opportunity to join us.
Then they went in on the whole machine learning and the AI and everything. And interesting what Michael was just saying. And I keep going on about the same thing, which is, all of it is based on really crappy data, because recruiters can't even write their own LinkedIn profiles and CVs. So you can be assured that clients, candidates can't. I love having a head cold. The words are there and they just won't come out. So until really, why don't we rectify that problem? I was talking to a job seeker yesterday. Bless her. She's amazing. She's been told to downplay her experience. And I'm sitting here going, what? Like, you're amazing. But also her CV was just all vanilla, because again, she'd been told to downplay it. And it's like, actually, that's not what we're looking for. Really, it'd be so lovely to start with getting job seekers to actually understand how we recruit, both sides, agency, in-house. So we could demystify some of this. There's mistakes.
And that's what I try to do all the time. I mean, every post I write, almost with very few exceptions, is trying to peel back the curtain and give job seekers some insights and help them navigate this, because it's not as simple as matching keywords. It's just not. I mean, just yesterday, I was in a meeting with a client, and I actually had to tell him earlier this week, I can't send you any more candidates because you're saying no to everybody. And I don't understand why. It looks like the right profile. It has the keywords we talked about. Like, you know, and so before we even got past like 4 submittals, I'm like, we're stop, we're talking about this, we're figuring it out. And then we were able to kind of reset on the expectations, talk about some things that we hadn't talked about the first time we talked. And we're completely redoing the search now. And he's already talking to people for the, so tell me how this does that.
Yeah. So this is actually,
right,
I think this might be a sarcastic comment from Kendra, but I love it. Not as simple as matching keywords. What? Right? But actually,
I know.
If the AI, inverted commas, I'm sorry, I just refuse. I still think there's like little people in the background making it happen. I'm sorry. I just like, I will forever think that. I think it just makes me feel better. Probably it has something to do with the job, you know, the book title as well. Right. But we're going to go back if job seekers are going to think that AI is in the way, they're going to keyword stuff their CVs though. We're going to go back to that dreadful time when all it was like
white space, and
they are, because they're going to go, that's the only way I'm going to get my CV in front of Amy. And it's like we're going to make it worse if we don't fix the problem.
Well, then it becomes like a data matching exercise and less a people matching exercise. And I thought the idea is we were hiring people for their experience,
and if
not
the data is wrong, then you're going to get a bad match. You know, like the point about bad data, if you're putting the wrong stuff in, which in a manner of speaking is what we experienced this week with my client. It was, you know, we had the right words, so to speak, but we weren't putting it together in the right sentence, I guess. We weren't bringing together. It's a wonky, I won't get into the details, but it really took some additional consulting is the point.
Yeah. Keith's making a point here. He said, look, the horrible truth is it can often just be the experience of one consultant and the whole agency gets dismissed, which is true. I mean, I think we've all experienced that.
That's how I feel about my bank from the experience of my bank manager.
And
I'd never work for them. I would never work for them.
Having said that, is that just too easy to dismiss a whole agency of people based on one experience, man? I mean, come on. I mean, that just seems like an overreaction and almost an easy reaction. You know what I mean? It's like,
but maybe that's what they remember. Maybe it's easier to remember, you know.
It's very convenient because it sure takes the heat off of me. I don't have to be personally responsible for how I showed up or my vanilla resume, if I can borrow a term. You know, if it's the agency's fault, you know, AI got in the way, or that person sucks. It's I have nothing to do with me.
But I think the people that truly complain are the ones where, you know, that's like the bait and switch thing with, I've got this job, and actually they don't really have a job. It's a fake advert, and unfortunately that still happens.
Absolutely.
Look, if recruiting was easy, the industry wouldn't exist. And I think that's a good point. And equally as well, somebody would counter argue, yes, it exists now, but it needs to evolve, which is fine. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to drive that change through a more consultative approach, not force it down a purely technology, you know, kind of laden pathway. Because otherwise, what's the point in candidate experience, right?
There are so many things that could be automated that we're just skipping right past, and we're rushing right to the most important people-focused part. Can someone please figure out my freaking calendar app? I was up to work all day yesterday. You know, I was like, what is happening? Like every time somebody puts a meeting on there, it doesn't record it as busy. What's going on? It's probably something I did when I was setting up the app sheet, but whatever. But that's not the point. Like there are so many things that you could make easier and let me have actually more time to consult with both sides.
Yeah. I think, automation definitely has a place for sure. But in tandem with the kind of consultative human first approach, right?
It has to be. It has to be. If you're forgetting that there's people involved on both sides of this, and we're trying to solve problem, it's not. We're not building widgets. We're putting people together, and you have emotions on both sides. I had a different manager who had to talk off the ledge because this is the first time he's a newer leader himself. So first time he's hiring a leader, and he's a little unsure. You know, it's a little like, oh, did I do this right, or did I think about that? And you know, there's just a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with matching up resumes to his role, and everything to do with just helping him understand how his team is going to change with this hire, how this particular person fits into it. There's so much discussion that happens that is not going to live in this service. It's just not.
Yeah, Michael said, look, It's kind of unfortunate. Unfortunately, in the past, there's a low barrier to entry. I mean, the agency side, yeah. I mean, that's,
so let me give you a reverse of that. There's a low barrier to entry and there's a high barrier to staying.
Yeah, for sure.
Eventually, you're going to run out of other people's money. Eventually, your draw is going to run out and you're going to have to start paying that back. Eventually, you're not going to get a commission check and you're going to have no choice but to go sell cars or something else. So, yeah, I get it. Anybody can hang a shingle, but this is why startup after startup after startup in this space fails, because eventually they run out of somebody else's money. They haven't actually provided a service. They haven't actually solved the problem. So they go off, find a new angel investor and build something new and call it.
You're talking about, obviously with slight difference, I think you're talking about the tech now, aren't you? I thought Michael was just talking about the recruiters.
Well, I think it's all of it, though.
I know I sound bitter every time I say this, and I would just hasten to add there are companies out there who've bought hundreds of my books. So thank you, by the way. But when you're kind of going, you've got this situation where we brought in a team, but let's just throw them in the deep end. I can't believe it still happens. Let's not even invest like 20 quid getting them a book that they can learn from, or get Jan's book to learn sourcing. And you're kind of going, they're just books. Why don't you just give them some tools of the trade to learn? And they're not. I think that's probably more than the low barrier.
I agree.
I probably had a total of 10 days of training the entire time I was at Spring, which is 5 and a bit years.
Yeah.
They're loving your high barrier to stay comment, Amy. Yeah, people are feeling that in the chat.
Yeah, early. I'm kind of impressed with it myself.
I know, isn't it like 7:20 in the morning?
You need to give yourself like a fist pump.
Still wearing my pajamas under this t-shirt.
Are you?
I got my yoga pants on, You don't.
Yeah, of course.
So, I think it's a good point, and Katrina's spot on. I mean, I didn't have any training my very first job. I was just handed some clipboards. Here, go make people fill out these applications. What people? Well, you got to find them. What? That's what recruiters do.
Is this your truck drivers?
This is my truck driver. So,
all right, we're not going to share how she did this. You need to
listen to the other show.
Exactly,
so the point is, we don't get training, and that's a problem. But this though, and so how are we solving for that? Maybe we could get some of these disruptive people who are saying that I'm going to go away, dinosaur that I am. Maybe we could get them to train, because you can't do teach or something. I don't know. I don't know if that would apply here necessarily, but or
even better, come on the show and debate it, right, Amy?
I would love that. Every chance I get, I offer. Hey, let's have a conversation. I'm down for a conversation. I have a lot of questions.
I've missed Lee's comment here, but I think I'm going to show Marvin's comment. I'm sorry, everyone, you need to head to Facebook because we can do this. This is so cool. I love Facebook. One thing that puzzles me is how a platform based on LinkedIn profile data purchased in with limited information on each project magically flourish with AI. It's just automating limited information. Right.
Marvin, stop making sense.
Marvin needs to come on the show, and it's my fault he hasn't been on yet. I'm shit. He cornered me at SourceCon and he went, why am I on the show? And I'm like, I know.
Shame on you, Katrina.
I missed you. I know, he's one of my favorite humans. What's Lee written here as well? I missed this.
Well, Bianca said, I also recruited truck drivers in my first job. Lovely being woken up at 3 a.m. That's similar experience there.
Lee, hello Lee. I believe about 50% of jobs will be somewhat or extremely threatened by AI in the next 15 years or so. AI is coming whether we like it or not, and he wants to warn society about what he sees as the inevitable. Can someone without a head cold please read that out?
Inevitable.
Thank you. Kai-Fu Lee.
Oh, it's a quote from somebody.
Right.
So, may I ask,
Innovation Ventures CEO in China. Okay, cool.
Is this person involved in selling or producing AI of any sort? Because it's funny how our quotes and our public statements, and I'm guilty of this as well, are definitely colored and influenced by our perception and position.
Yes, of course.
And who's paying our bills?
And who's sponsoring.
So, okay, let's talk about something that I think is very good. IBM's Watson is proper AI, right? Sorry, guys, if I'm wrong, but it's proper. Whatever.
I think you're correct on that. Yeah,
with the little people in there and everything.
Yeah, the nano robot.
Right. But when it has awesome data,
sure,
like in the legal sector, it can definitely threaten a paralegal's job. But we're talking about recruitment industry where we don't have great data. We've all got shitty little databases. LinkedIn, half of the recruiter profiles aren't filled out, for example, or you get cryptic bios and tweets and blah, blah, blah. People are hiding, right? Our data is not good. Yeah. We're using public data created by people who don't really know what they're writing. They're not writing law and case studies. Yeah. And so, yeah.
No, I agree.
There was no question in that. That was just me ranting.
It's so true. And it's funny you say that about paralegals, because my kid was a paralegal for a hot minute before she went to law school. And she did a lot of running and she did a lot of pulling information. But you know what? She made a lot of phone calls. And she made a lot of attempts to get information. And she did a lot of matching things up. She worked with a mortgage fraud firm for a while. And so there was a lot of like literally helping people save their houses. So if I'm one of those people fighting with Wells Fargo and I have this lawyer who's working on my class action thing, do I want to just type things into Watson? Or do I want to get on the phone with Amy's daughter and have a live person who has some sympathy for my situation listen to me and make sure to confirm that my information is recorded and this is the next step?
So it'll be like the fact there are still tellers in the bank, even though we have a teller machine.
Absolutely.
For a mundane transaction. Absolutely. Fair. It's nice to hear the counter argument, actually.
Yeah. So with regards to obviously this tech platform, I believe it's a blockchain platform. Is that correct?
Something, I something.
Why does that always remind me of flushing a toilet?
Now I see that. Yes.
Now I've got a mental image.
Legos. I always pictured
Katrina.
Legos. You put.
Where did that even come from?
Just stack them up, different different colors. Make sure.
Like Tetris.
I'm so sorry.
Maybe Tetris. I love Tetris. Tetris. That's what I blockchain is.
I haven't even had any flu meds or anything. I'm just like,
No.
So and I think if I understand this correctly, and I actually saw, so I just watched Black Mirror recently, so I'm going to try not to mix these up. I hope I'm not remembering the episode or
could be entertaining though. Go for it.
I'm not sure which I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
So I think the idea is I'm putting my information in because I'm a candidate who wants one of those prepaid cards with my 5% bonus or whatever. And my worth in this database is dependent on Glenn and Katrina also logging in and saying nice things about me. Yes, I can confirm that Amy worked at ABC Dishwashers. And yes, she showed up every day. And yes, her dishes were sparkling clean. Now, maybe, and I could never imagine this happen in a million years, but maybe Glenn and I have a falling out and Glenn goes in and say, you know what, Amy broke every other dish.
She broke every dish. Every dish.
And then Katrina is Team Glenn and goes back in and says, he's right.
No, she spat on those dishes.
With all the dishes.
Yeah.
You know, this could really go awry very quickly. Yeah. There's no barrier to truth.
Yeah.
I think
accurate.
You almost get into the kind of Amazon recommendations territory, don't you? You know, where people start getting paid to go on there and validate sort of products and stuff like that. And equally as well, there was a platform in the UK that was for kind of creatives, and the initial sort of premise was that you were kind of validated on the platform before you had access to any jobs. And now, look, I'm not being funny. If it's Katrina and Amy, I'll go on there, I'll do that straight away. If it's like a work colleague, you know, maybe I'll do it this week. If I'm a hiring manager, I need to do that. Well, that's the lower priority to maybe in the month. And then suddenly you have this cascade of, like you say, things either don't happen. So therefore you just have a massive data unvalidated. And then you're surely on a path to try to incentivize people more to do it. So that's not a particularly cost-effective model, right?
Yeah. And if you're a job seeker and if you're desperate enough, and this will have a disproportionate effect on underserved, underprivileged people, how many times are you going to buy your friends? Hey, I imagine there's a subscription model or a premium version or something that's going to, so for someone like us, maybe a quick $20 is a drop in the bucket and it's worth it to get those stellar recommendations or stars by my name. But if I'm a single mom who's been out of work for 3 months, it's actually prohibitive and it's creating a barrier for me to my job versus the free service for candidates of walking into a staffing agency or applying online or going to a job fair and making a human connection.
Yeah. And equally as well, I mean, like in terms of the actual platform, I believe that there was a reference to kind of D&I or certainly stripping out unconscious bias. I was just curious as to whether there was any detail around that, because it's one thing to say, oh yeah, it addresses unconscious bias, or it kind of addresses the sort of D&I. It has that in its thought process. I was curious as to how it did that, because
oh yeah, okay. I have it. I have it pulled up, so I'm doing a little control F over here to see if I can find it.
Yeah.
She's doing a keyword search.
Yeah, I'm doing a keyword search because that apparently
that's all recruiters know how to do.
All recruiters do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I write my whole book that way.
Fingers are worn down from doing Control F.
It really, I mean, the calluses.
Just checking my keyboard here
so
to see.
On unconscious bias within gender, and also have Lego blockchain technology that allows us to verify candidates when they come through the hiring process. So now that was all in the same sentence. So we focus on gender. We have blockchain technology to verify. How many genders do we have?
More than 2, possibly. No gender.
Are we accounting for? Yeah, I mean, there. Even if we, let's just keep it conservative. Oh, we're getting into scary territory now.
Well, let's just go male, female. No gender, non-binary.
But you can see how
this could, not for anything.
But you see how this could immediately. You're going to have somebody that's going to point the finger and say bias.
Absolutely.
You didn't count mine. You didn't count my situation. You didn't count. What happens when we get into, zip code? Are we going to be ruling out certain parts of the city because we know certain types of folks come from there? I mean, where does the bias stop? Because let me tell you, the person on the back end of this that's typing in the data, typing in the keywords to match.
Yeah, they've got bias.
Yeah. They're going to insert their own bias.
I personally, and I might be throwing a curveball, I don't think until you really change humans, we're ever going to get rid of it anyway. So you might get rid of it up the front, and then the human comes into the interview and you reject them then. It's like...
And so the idea is that each of us, for our own selves, our own personal responsibility, as well as the influence around us, have a responsibility to check that shit.
Yeah.
And to say, hey, wait, are you maybe looking at this because of, or hey, this person went to a school not like yours. Should we talk about that? Like, we all have to check ourselves, but we also, as recruiters, should be checking our hiring managers and our interviewers as well.
And whose responsibility is that? The recruiters, the consultative recruiter, the thing that is paid to be consultative, the human that is paid to be consultative. Sorry.
Exactly.
I have a cold. I'm sorry. The brain is at like 65%. I'm just plugged.
And that's why, I mean, I got into it on Twitter yesterday over salary negotiations. I mean, it's the same thing.
You did what?
I got into it on Twitter about salary negotiations. Because, whoever gives the first number loses, and never, ever tell an employer what you want until, it's great.
So, what was your position on that, Amy?
My position is that if you're a recruiter who lowballs candidates, you're dead to me.
Yeah. Stop being an asshole.
It's an interesting one you make, that some hiring managers are really reluctant to even discuss salary with candidates, right? And I just kind of think, well, actually, if you're pursuing a transparent approach, it's very easy to openly discuss money. Why does it have to be such a clandestine thing?
We have a responsibility to make sure that you're not underpaying someone.
Yeah.
I am not going to let you make a lower offer to a woman of equal skill, experience, interview feedback, etc.
I finally remembered who I was talking to.
I mean,
but the lowball thing is so bad. The lowball thing is so bad. So I was speaking to a HR director this week, who's my friend, and she's going, consistently, the hiring managers do it. And then they realize they're losing staff. Like, their turnover in these specific areas is so high because obviously they get poached out because they're a great company, great experience, boom, off they go for the proper salary. Or they come and ask her to promote them and they've been there 6 months. And she's going, you had the budget to give the correct salary in the first place. You ignored me, and this is the consequence.
Absolutely.
So frustrating. But again, that comes back to the consultative side of recruitment. So people are sitting out there trying to say, an agency or in-house, you both spend that time on the salary negotiation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Selling your candidate.
And so if I'm in this database and I'm itching to get my hands on that prepaid card and I want my 5%, who's on the other end making sure that I'm getting what I'm worth and I'm not taking a crappy offer out of desperation?
Yeah.
Or I'm not missing out on a great job with a reasonable offer because somebody told me I should get a 30% raise because I changed companies. There's so much BS on both sides, and somebody has got to be the adult in the room and stand up and push back on it.
Yeah. I mean, like you say, the salary piece is, I mean, and even Michael said it, like, money is the easiest part of recruiting. If you're straightforward about talking about it, then you'll get a straight and open conversation, right? You understand what they're on now, what they're looking for. Everybody at a minimum likes, is looking for 5 to 10% increment on what they're on.
Sure.
And if you can talk to them about why you've made that offer and why it's a good offer, straightforward, right?
So
as opposed to the back and forth of...
Is the bot going to have that conversation for me? Because let me tell you, my last 2 offers that I made, without going into too much detail, my last 2 offers put me through the emotional ringer.
Really?
I mean, I'm talking late night conversations, spreadsheets, sending over, school information because you're going to move to this new town. I mean, you name it. I went through it, talking about benefits, talking about everything. It wasn't as simple as here's a piece of math. Here, and go say yes or no. I mean, this was a discussion. This was setting up lunches and consulting calls with the hiring teams and the directors and the VPs, and just really encouraging people to look at the entire offer. It's not just the salary. It's everything else.
Exactly. Totally. And for you, that salary in Seattle, in another part of the US, would be enormous, and you'd be rolling in it. But in Seattle, I mean, there's people living in their cars that can't afford housing.
Yeah,
they've got a really good job and really good money, and they're living in their cars. So it's kind of like that's all got to come into it, and that all comes to the consultative, understanding the city, understanding your company,
perhaps this is maybe where some new entrants don't have a full understanding of the full end-to-end kind of life cycle of a recruitment process. Because getting to offer stage, that's kind of part of the end of one part of the journey. The next part of the journey then is consulting to close on that offer. And obviously all the considerations around that, potential increments in salary, all those sort of things. I mean, it's like you said, Amy, it's not as easy as, here's the offer, take it or leave it. Thanks very much.
The offer I made last night,
getting them to start.
The offer I made last night, I negotiated for 2 weeks. Both sides.
Yeah. I think we would.
But that's okay. We can just give that to a bot.
I mean, I would have slept a lot better last week with somebody else.
Accept the offer. Accept the offer. Accept the offer. Accept the offer.
It's not that simple.
I have a feeling if this particular candidate goes to you might hunt them down.
I mean, we had each other's cell phone numbers. Like we're friends now at this point.
Yeah,
and we were even kind of joking about it last night. He's like, "I'm kind of sad this is over." Like,
and it's a funny thing as well. And I think a lot of agent recruiters who haven't worked in-house or vice versa don't really get how when you go in-house, you're obviously still got to be pro-company, but actually you're pro-candidate as well. You're still almost sitting there like Switzerland trying to negotiate the deal out. And that was one of the things I found so fascinating when I was in-house.
It really
actually
is.
You're still on both sides, even though you think that,
And the last thing that you want as an in-house is to kind of rush the wrong person through the process or get somebody there that doesn't really want to be there. And then 6 months later, people are calling you up going, did you hire so-and-so? Are you responsible for so-and-so? So-and-so just walked out. So-and-so just punched his boss. So-and-so sucks.
Please tell me one of your candidates has done that. There has to be. There has to be an Amy Miller candidate.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to think about
or no?
I bet there is. Not since big tech, thank God, but previous, absolutely.
Oh, you mean one of your No, we're not going there. That's the previous show.
One of my supply chain people.
But there's a big thing around trust here, whether it's a platform player or a person, right? A candidate and an employer needs to trust that either the platform is really accurate and delivers what the expectation, and the candidate and the employer need to trust the person, the recruitment consultant, that they will manage expectations accordingly, right? So on a platform, how do you bake in trust? because it's easy to start to develop when it's one-to-one as a person, right?
Mhm.
And I've had that this week with, and it surprises you sometimes when somebody turns around and goes, don't worry, I trust you. You feel the weight of responsibility then for their career, this opportunity, the negotiation.
Yeah.
So how do you bake that trust into a tech play is my question for this individual. Reliability of the platform to operate is not trust for me.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Kat's point, or Katrina's point about the bank, right? Like I had a situation last week, I think it was, where our debit card was hacked, and I had like this, like I think somebody must have went and bought a car. And I'm looking at the guy, wow, I did not spend that much money at this place. And so even though I've had this credit union for 15 plus years and I trust the people that I go and see at the branch and all that, you best believe I was emailing, I was on the phone with the call center, I was on the phone with the fraud department. I didn't trust anybody to fix this. I had like 5 people, on the line and using every possible portal to communicate with them. So it wasn't just I'll just go say, no, that was fraud and be done with it.
So one of the things that I you guys have read the book, so I go on and on and on about this, is like, have a recruitment background. So someone was talking to me this week about he wants to write a book that he's got this idea of fixing the industry, and because I looked and I went, we're not going to receive this well because he hasn't sat in our shoes, he hasn't done the job. I'm not denying it's broken. All sides, everywhere. It could be better. But it's that, and I think when you're talking about that, so for example, how I show it, like just talking about me, my website, it's my front door, it's full of social proof. So real social proof, right? A tweet in the moment, a comment, a show, a video, but I'm also got years and years in the industry. And I think this is my fear with all of these technology platforms is, have they actually done the job? Are they actually solving a problem? Are they actually giving somebody more time that they can create a more human touch?
And I think that's really valid because or show you've done your research.
Yeah, who do you speak to?
Show you've done your research. If don't just pull comments out of accepted kind of commentary like agencies are crap.
Right.
Do your research. Show you've done your research.
I mean, I wrote a post about hiring managers and high level candidates and how they feel about our crappy outreach. So number one, I myself have been guilty of sending crappy outreach from time to time. I don't try not to do it anymore, but there was a time before I knew better. Number two, I actually asked them,
right,
message you ever got, and tell me how that made you feel, and tell me how you would respond or not respond. Like I actually went to the people experiencing it and doing it and gathered the information and said, hey, this is what the community says. This is not what Amy Miller says. Yeah, I have lots of opinions. Y'all have heard. But I've actually spoken with the people experiencing it and doing it and who want to see it improve. Please come ask me what I want my HR tech to do. I will tell you.
Exactly.
Bring whiskey. We're going to be here a while.
Yeah.
This is the perfect way to end the show. Right with what you just said. Which is basically, if you'd like your tools to work, talk to Amy because I think she really could fix your platform because it's broken. You might know it yet. People might be investing in it. However, what did you say? Spending other people's money. Love that earlier.
That's a
Amy,
real.
Is there anything you haven't said?
Thanks for having me back.
No.
Oh man, absolute pleasure.
You tough woman. Is there anything you wanted to share that you haven't said? I didn't mean give me some praise.
I think, anytime anyone would like to debate or discuss any of these topics with me, please reach out. I'm all over the internet. You know where to find me. My mind can be changed, but you have to be ready.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the key message, right? I mean, whilst everybody has opinions, right? You've got to be open to discussing that, and you're happy to be. Have your opinion kind of changed on that. But ultimately, if the dialogue's not there, you've got to draw your conclusions, right?
Yeah. Talking past me and telling me that my industry sucks and you're going to destroy my job is not the way to get me to evangelize your shit.
Yeah. So cool.
Right. On that note.
That was great fun. Always great fun.
We may or may not be back next week because I'm actually not. I'm not here, and it's much more fun live. So we might have to just
traveling again, are we, Katrina?
Oh, I'm so sorry, but
traveling again.
Keen Recruitment in Amsterdam bought 100 copies of the Robot Proof Recruiter. In fact, they've got their logo on the top.
Oh, nice.
How amazing is that? Don't forget where the royalties are going to charities, so it means the world to me. So they've invited me over to speak and have a debate all around this exact topic. So actually someone's pro-tech and I'm anti-tech, and we're going to have a great debate.
I'm happy to come with you to Amsterdam and do this live. It's not a problem.
Okay. Well, I'll see if they'll pay for your flight, because I'm not.
No.
Actually, I think I'm technically back in London in time, but I'm not at home. So can't do it on the phone. The streaming takes too much power. So anywho, on that note, we may or may not be back next week, but you know where we are. We'll be back soon. Thank you for all the comments and for joining us. Thank you, Amy Miller, for coming back again twice in 3 weeks.
Amy Miller, amazing.
Thank you, Glenn, of course, as well. We shall see you all possibly next week, possibly the week after. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.